It was the 12th day of my Cold War with Ethan. At his birthday party, he showed up with a woman from high society. Someone joked, "Ethan, you really done with your Selena? Didn't you chase that Cinderella for 6 years?" Ethan wrapped his arms around the stunning woman beside him and chuckled lazily. "Girls like her, born with nothing, love to dream. I just gave her a dream, a taste of love. Poor thing's never been loved before. After all, I liked how she was proud and insecure at the same time. It amused me." Laughter erupted. Wine clinked. People toasted without restraint. I stood outside the door, listening to him talk about me like it meant nothing. The birthday gift I'd brought for him felt like a joke, mocking my foolishness. I turned and left without a word. If the sand slips through your fingers, just let the wind take it. Later, Ethan asked me if I even had a heart. I said, I don't. Chapter 1. Inside the private room. Ethan clung to Lisa like no one else existed. I stood at the door, unable to explain what I was feeling. Ethan and I had been on and off for years. Every time we argued, he waited, high and mighty, for me to crawl back, like a dog begging for forgiveness. And I let him stomp on my dignity, again and again. The more outrageous he got, the more I lost my principles. By day 12, he was already holding another woman in public, because he knew I'd show up for his birthday, gift in hand, ready to make peace. Someone inside joked, "Ethan, you really done with your Selena? After all, you chased her for 6 years." Ethan took a drag of his cigarette, arms still around Lisa, and smirked. "Ordinary Cinderellas like her love to dream. I just gave her one, a sweet little illusion of love. Girl's never been loved in her life. She actually thinks she matters to me. That's cute." Everyone laughed. "Then why'd you chase her for so long?" Ethan replied, "Was just annoyed I hadn't slept with her. I liked how she's both proud and insecure." That contradiction? Fascinating. Lisa poked him in the chest. "What's so great about some old virgin?" Ethan blew out smoke and chuckled. "Not much. Uptight as hell. Let her stay pure for life." I couldn't care less. Pain tore through my chest like 1,000 needles. Suddenly, everything felt meaningless. I turned away. Not out of heartbreak, but pure, numb disappointment. Under the dazzling night lights, I tossed his carefully chosen birthday gift into a trash bin. If the sand slips through your fingers, just let the wind carry it away. Chapter 2. On a bustling street filled with people. So many coming and going. Who is someone's unrequited love? And who is nothing but a fleeting shadow? I grew up surrounded by my parents' endless fighting and screaming. After their divorce, my father often brought different women home, forcing me to call them mom if I refused. He beat me within an inch of my life. Eventually, he dumped me at my grandparents' house and never looked back. But they hated my mom. And by extension, they hated me too. Even my so-called grandfather tried to molest me once. I often cried all night behind the house, alone and terrified. No one ever treated me kindly. No one ever hoped for me to have a good life. I've always been a pessimist when it comes to love. I never believed someone could truly love me. So when Ethan started pursuing me, I rejected him, coldly, decisively, without a second thought. But he kept chasing me for 6 whole years, from sophomore year in high school to our college graduation. No matter how I ignored him or shut him out, he'd always say, "Whether you love me or not, I'll always love you," again and again. I pushed him away to test him, and yet, he never left. He was always there. I thought, maybe, he really did love me, and who doesn't want to be loved? 6 years. How many 6 years do we even get in life? So I tried. I opened my heart and accepted him. But just a week into our relationship, he was already impatient to drag me into bed. I believed that if we weren't married, we shouldn't cross that line. So I refused. But he was relentless, constantly trying to coax or trick me into it. The more I refused, the more he lost his patience. Eventually, he began the silent treatment. Sometimes, we wouldn't speak for days. In the 2 years we were together, The scales of love quietly tipped. His feelings grew lighter, and mine grew heavier. Some say people who don't fall in love easily. Once they do, they fall like madness. I suppose I'm one of those people. I started tolerating Ethan more and more, compromising all my boundaries, humbling myself just to please him. Ethan became the one in control. Every time I refused to sleep with him, he'd retaliate with all sorts of cruel games, like leaving me behind in public, whether it was pouring rain or fierce wind, like joking about me in front of his foul-mouthed friends, saying vulgar things, making them all look at me like I was something filthy, like calling me at midnight to pick him up, only to tell me to get lost when I arrived, like sending 9 consecutive 999 yuan red envelopes to random girls during holidays, just to piss me off. And now, he's with Lisa, their so-called upper-class circle, mocking me, their pathetic Cinderella. He hurt me without restraint. He enjoyed seeing me cry, enjoyed my pain, and every time I broke down in tears, he would gently wipe them away, then whisper against my ear, "Will you give it to me now? If you do, I'll love you forever." He was waiting for the last of my defenses to collapse. And truth be told, I almost gave in when the sadness got too much. I would think, no one could possibly love me more than he does. So what if I gave myself to him? But every time I was about to take that step, fear held me back. Fear that in the end, I'd be left with nothing, forced to exit the stage like a joke. Tonight, I put on makeup, wore my prettiest dress. I silenced all the voices in my head, finally ready to give him everything. But instead, he struck me down without mercy. Turns out, none of it was real. In his eyes, I was always just someone unworthy of the spotlight. He wanted to watch as I shed the last of my so-called pride, get swallowed whole by my own insecurity, and fall completely at his feet. That would thrill him. Suddenly, I laughed, and then the tears came pouring down. How ridiculous. My dull, watered-down life actually managed to attract someone who went to such great lengths just to destroy me. Chapter 3. Looking back now, every time I chose to forgive him feels like a joke. I said I wouldn't sleep with him unless we got married. But Ethan never once mentioned marriage. Funny, isn't it? And yet I was trapped in his carefully constructed illusion of love, unable to break free. I was the one too close to see the truth. In this world, even my own parents never loved me. How could I expect anyone else to? But at least, I figured it out before it was too late. My life has always been a muddy mess. All I've done is return to square one. What's so hard about that? And yet, there's this heaviness I can't name, like a demon clinging to my soul. I'm not a machine. I feel things. 8 years, even if it were just a dog, I'd still be devastated to see it leave my life. I passed by a dessert shop, wiped my tears, and bought a slice of cake. Then I got a cup of milk tea from the store next door. They say sweets release dopamine, make you feel happy. I took a bite of cake, a sip of the tea. That sugary taste traveled through my nerves straight to my brain. But all I could think of was Ethan. Those were the happiest moments of my life. A tear dropped on my hand. I hadn't even realized I was crying again. They lied. They said sweets would make me happy. So why does it hurt even more? I forced the tears back and ate in big bites. Maybe I was too lost in thought. I didn't see the person walking toward me. We bumped into each other. Milk tea spilled all over him. Panicked, I apologized. But everything in my hands fell to the ground. I scrambled to pick it all up. But the cake, it hit the dirty pavement, ruined, just like my heart, shattered, beyond repair. Tears welled up again. My throat clenched tight like I couldn't breathe. No more pretending I didn't care. I was heartbroken. I curled into myself, face buried in my knees, and let the tears flood out. Chapter 4. I didn't even yell at you. Why are you crying? A man's voice rose before me. I slowly looked up, eyes hazy with tears, and saw Joel, Ethan's best friend. He had his arm rested across his knees, the city's scattered lights reflecting off the watch on his wrist. He crouched in front of me, staring at me calmly. You okay? That voice. Like it echoed from years ago, just like back in sophomore year of high school. When my grandfather appeared in my room in the middle of the night, I ran out of the house, clothes disheveled, and collapsed at an intersection, trembling. Ethan crouched in front of me then, asking the same thing, you okay? And now, all these years later, Joel's voice stirred up everything again, and the sorrow came rushing back. Even more fiercely. Why? Why did everything have to be a lie? Tears fell even harder. Joel looked at me for a while, then helped me up from the ground. It's just cake and milk tea. I'll buy you new ones. He bent down, picked up the ruined cake, and tossed it into the trash bin. Then, he led me to his car. Wait here. He shut the door gently and walked toward the dessert shop nearby. The city lights flickered through the window, casting scattered shadows into the car, but they couldn't light up the darkness inside the vehicle, just like they couldn't brighten the dead waters of my heart. There was no cure for this kind of pain. Joel returned soon, his hands full of cakes and milk teas. All kinds. He shoved them all into my arms without a word. I'll drive you home. Chapter 5. The last stop of the night. Ethan kept glancing at the door, growing increasingly agitated. He picked up his phone several times, only to toss it aside. He went through a pack of cigarettes and drained bottle after bottle of alcohol. Everyone there was waiting to see what kind of dramatic entrance Selena would make, including Ethan. He even posted his live location on social media. But Selena never came. His party buddies were getting annoyed. Even Ethan was starting to squirm in his seat. He hated how pathetic he felt. He could have any woman he wanted, so why was he falling apart over Selena? Why did it have to be her? Just then, the door opened. Ethan looked up, hope flashing in his eyes, only to see the waiter bringing in more drinks. His whole body slumped into the sofa like a deflated balloon. He shoved Lisa, who had been clinging to him, aside and lit another cigarette. Lisa tried to snake her way back into his arms, but he shoved her hard. Get lost. Lisa's eyes welled up with tears. Didn't you hear me? I said get lost. Tears finally spilled down Lisa's cheeks. She got up and walked away, humiliated. The room fell into awkward silence. After a long moment, someone chuckled dryly to break the tension. Ethan, seriously? You still can't chill? Selena's your simp now. What are you so scared of? Everyone burst out laughing. Right? Ethan's still wearing that hair tie Selena made him wear. Even the meals Ethan eats every day have to be made by her. If she doesn't cook, he doesn't eat. She even knows his WeChat, Alipay, and bank passwords. Sometimes she logs in just to check up on him. Trust me, Selena won't last the night. She'll call Ethan crying by midnight. Ethan's fingers lightly rubbed the small elastic band around his wrist, and suddenly he felt a lot better. The last few times he pushed Selena, she almost gave in. He had sensed her hesitation. That's why tonight he pulled the Lisa card hard. Maybe tonight, she'd finally surrender. Willingly, completely. The thought of Selena's soft and quiet beauty made his thoughts wander. He wondered what she'd look like, letting him take full control. Would she cry quietly? Or would she just lie there, silent and defeated? Ethan, I think you still care about Selena. Why not just marry her already? Once you do, she's yours to do whatever you want. Are you dumb? Selena's status isn't good enough for Ethan. His family's already arranging a proper match. For real? Ethan? Ethan, is that true? Ethan didn't respond. Just as they were about to keep talking, he stood up and left. Abruptly. He couldn't wait anymore. Tonight, he was going to get Selena. Chapter 6. I sat by the floor-to-ceiling window in the living room. The lights were off. The city's glitz and glamour faded into quietness in the deep of the night. The cake in the bag was a mess. The milk tea had spilled and lay in puddles on the floor. The one person I had finally fallen for was now with someone else. Was he whispering sweet filth into her ear? Making promises of forever with that same casual voice? In this dark and silent room, I let my emotions wash over me. I thought my sorrow was quiet, not dramatic. Who could say they truly loved and not feel even a little pain? Chapter 7. At 2:30 a.m., Ethan's driver parked in front of Selena's building. The night was still. Silent enough that every tiny sound felt loud. Ethan loosened his tie. His throat was dry. He got out and went upstairs. But when he typed in her door code, it didn't work. Again and again, he kicked the door, frustrated, and started pressing the doorbell. Inside, I wasn't surprised. I knew it was Ethan. I figured he'd leave if no one answered. But then my phone started ringing, over and over again. He must have heard the ringtone from inside. And then, the banging began. I stared at the name flashing on my screen. After a long pause, not wanting to disturb the neighbors, I picked up. Ethan's drunken voice rasped through the line. Baby, I was wrong. Let's stop fighting, okay? Today is my birthday, and you didn't come. I've been waiting for you all day, but it's okay. If you won't come to find me, then I'll come to find you. I can have nothing else in this world, but I absolutely cannot be without you, my wife. I listened to Ethan's sweet talking with a blank expression, saying nothing. Let's get our marriage license tomorrow, okay? I want you to have my baby. I miss you so much, baby. Don't be mad anymore. Will you open the door for me? At those words, I let out a cold laugh. How could he say such things to me, after everything else he said? Ethan, let's break up. There were a few seconds of silence. Ethan, in disbelief, asked, What did you just say? Chapter 8. Maybe it was the emotional turmoil. I started to feel a headache coming on. I closed my eyes and repeated once more. Ethan, let's break up. I've treated you so well, and you still want to break up with me? Selena, do you even have a conscience? Thank you for all the years you stayed by my side. From now on, let's not contact each other anymore. As I said that, a sudden ache welled up in my nose. Even if Ethan wasn't truly sincere with me, he was still the person who had stayed with me the longest, and treated me the best in this world. But sadly, there are far too many people who waste all the poetry and romance life offers. Between him and me, in the end, it was still a story without an ending. You admit I've been with you for so many years, and you're still heartless enough to walk away? Is there anyone else in the world who loves you more than I do? Baby, there won't be a second person as patient as I've been, waiting for you, staying with you. Don't break up with me, please? He still said all these things so effortlessly, as if he loved me deeply, as if no one else could ever compare. I used to believe it too, but now, I just found it laughable. Ethan, there's no point in saying more. This is it. You're really breaking up with me? His tone suddenly turned cold. Yes. You won't even let me talk you out of it? I don't need you to talk me out of anything. Just leave. Ethan lost patience. What the hell do you want from me? I've already done all this, and you're still not satisfied? Selena, have you really started thinking you're that important? Is it because I've treated you too well, that you've forgotten who you are? No wonder your parents abandoned you. No wonder your grandparents hated you. No wonder no one loves you. You're just someone who doesn't know what's good for her. The one who knows you best always knows exactly where to stab so it hurts the most. Ethan's every word hit like a blade to the heart. As if I were the one who had betrayed him in this relationship. As if I had done something unforgivable to hurt him. I didn't respond. I simply ended the call. Ethan, furious, slammed the door hard, then left the complex with a sneer. Chapter 9. Ethan sat in the car, but he didn't tell the driver to drive. Instead, he lit a cigarette. He had originally planned to sleep with Selena tonight, and then break up with her for good. After all, he was getting tired of her anyway, and he had never really intended to marry her. Without marriage, he could do all kinds of crazy things for her, but if it were about marriage, her background simply wasn't presentable. Only, tonight didn't go as planned. She had actually dumped him first. Ethan felt a fire burning in his chest that made him feel suffocated. He had barely taken a few puffs of the cigarette before he crushed it out between his fingers. There were always plenty of women around him. If he wanted, he could have any kind of woman. But Selena, she wasn't swayed by his usual tactics. Her heart was cold and hard. Hard to move. He had to be patient. Take it step by step. Only when she labeled him as safe would she accept him. At first, it was just a desire to conquer. He couldn't believe there was someone he couldn't win over. And then, it became 8 long years. At this moment, Ethan could no longer tell if it was just pride, or if he had actually developed real feelings. All he knew was that the anger was burning inside him. Who did she think she was to dump him? Seriously, who did she think she was? Ethan tossed away the cigarette, pulled out his phone, and made a call. Make sure Selena suffers a bit at her job. He figured that maybe, after all these years with him, life had been too easy for Selena. She had forgotten all the hardship she used to endure. He was going to make her remember. Only then would she understand. Having him in her life was a blessing. Chapter 10. The next day, as soon as I arrived at the office, I ran into Lisa. She was an intern at the company, but held surprising authority. Everyone said she had connections, though no one knew just how deep they went. I only found out yesterday that she was part of Ethan's social circle. Good morning, Selena. She greeted me as enthusiastically as ever, except there was clear contempt and mockery in her eyes. I didn't bother analyzing her look and simply replied flatly. Morning. Lisa caught up to me. Thanks for helping me with my work yesterday. Let me treat you to lunch today, okay? Yesterday, she had asked me to help her finish her tasks. She said she was in a hurry to celebrate her boyfriend's birthday. I saw how rushed she was, so I helped her. I just never expected that the man she rushed to meet was my boyfriend. I couldn't be bothered to argue with someone like her. I simply replied, no need. Oh, come on. Just a friendly lunch. Don't say no. I stopped and looked at her coldly. No thanks. We're not that close. But we've known each other for so long. Don't you think that counts as friendship? No, it doesn't. And with that, I walked away. Lisa, clearly insulted, sneered. What else can you do besides playing the self-righteous act? Everyone knows your disgusting past with your grandfather. Who do you think you're fooling? Ethan thinks you're filthy, too. Called you Cinderella like it was some kind of joke. And you still think you matter? If I were you, I wouldn't even have the face to keep living. Those ugly, painful memories from my past, Ethan once acted so heartbroken over them. He used to say he wished he had appeared in my life sooner to protect me. And now, those same things had become gossip for him and Lisa to laugh at. The sad part was, I couldn't even refute her. Rumors like that were hard to disprove. And even if I could prove them false, no one would believe me. Lisa had connections. She was beautiful. She had influence in the company. Many male colleagues were simps for her, and the female ones loved to kiss up. Between her and me, it was obvious who they would side with. And me? I was left to endure their mockery and ridicule. But it didn't matter. I'd long since learned how cruel people could be. This was nothing new. I looked at Lisa and said lightly, "You're acting like a rabid dog this early in the morning. Did Ethan dump you?" Lisa's expression twisted in fury. "What the hell are you? You really think you mattered to Ethan? And that holier-than-thou attitude of yours, saying you wouldn't sleep with him unless you were married, what a joke. Ethan would never marry trash like you. You act all innocent, but you're already rotten to the core." I didn't lose my temper and argue with her. Whoever loses control first, loses. I simply smiled, my voice calm and indifferent. Yeah, and even with someone like me, Ethan still doesn't want you. That's pathetic. You probably don't know, but around 2 in the morning, Ethan showed up drunk at my door. Isn't that just sad? He left behind someone as clean and noble as you, just to come crawling back to me. A man that cheap? I gave him to you, and you couldn't even keep him. You're completely useless. You can't seduce a man, so you turn around and bite me like a rabid dog. If I were you, I'd be too ashamed to show my face again. Saying all that, I appeared calm and collected, but my heart was in pain. I truly didn't want to argue with someone like that in public. It felt beneath me. But in the end, some people just won't let you walk away in peace. Lisa's face turned crimson with fury, her lips trembling. I turned and walked away, not wasting another breath. Chapter 11. I knew Lisa wouldn't let things go, but I never expected the storm to arrive so quickly. As soon as I walked into the office, every gaze was filled with suspicion and mockery. I sat down and opened my laptop. Both my company email and personal inbox received new messages at the same time. In the company email, photo attachments. Photos so disgusting, they could rival the worst adult films. And in those photos, The faces were of my grandfather and me. They were AI-generated deepfakes, created to destroy me. The sender? Lisa. The world doesn't care whether such images are real or fake. They only want to believe the worst. They want to believe my past was filthy, because how can a woman be young, beautiful, educated, and capable? Oh, right, she must be hiding something disgusting. Only then does it ease their jealousy, their bitterness, and then they'll fake pity with a line like, "Poor girl, I'd rather be ugly and normal than live like her." All I could do seemed to be staying silent. But does silence really help? I opened my personal inbox. The file inside made me freeze for a second. After a while, I replied to that email. "Thank you." The reply came instantly. "You're welcome." Time folded in on itself again. It felt just like that year when I woke up in the hospital and saw Ethan sitting at my bedside. In that moment, all the words I wanted to say condensed into one sentence. "Thank you." And he replied the same way. "You're welcome." The heart I had trained to become numb and indifferent suddenly ached. Everything in the past should have faded like dust in the wind. Yet still, just a trace of someone resembling him was enough to make my heart throb in pain. As my vision blurred, I tilted my head back to hold in the tears. Tears are trophies for others, and I had no intention of surrendering. I opened my computer and began typing. They probably all assumed I would stay silent. So much so, they didn't even bother lowering their voices when gossiping. She never talks much or gets close to people. Maybe she's afraid others will find out about her past. Afraid others will find out? Like people don't already know? I have a classmate from her high school. I heard her family's a mess, especially with her grandpa. She used to hang around with the local bad boys. Her private life was a total disaster. She looks so sweet and innocent. I never thought she'd be this filthy. Her boyfriend is hot and rich. Why the hell would he like someone like her? He was probably fooled by her innocent face. She's just a used-up woman. How does someone like her deserve such a good man? She doesn't. Human nature, cruel, complex, and cold, was on full display. When you fall into the abyss, everyone just watches from the high ground. They hide the ladders they could have thrown to help. They prefer watching you crawl in the dark, weak and struggling. And once you're too broken to climb out, they'll pounce, judge, curse, mock you. No one asks why you can't get up. So if no one cares about the truth, why should I explain myself? I clicked the mouse. The final step, done. Seconds later, the whole office erupted. That girl in the email, she's not Selena. She's Lisa. No way. I swear I just saw Selena in those photos. Look. Lisa is just the housekeeper's daughter. And look, these photos, Lisa's medical records from the gynecology clinic. She's had multiple abortions. Oh my god, they even have hotel check-in records with different men. She's really that wild? In an instant, I was forgotten by the whole world. Everyone's attention turned to Lisa. Those who had just spoken in her defense now became her judges. No one cared about the truth, nor about Lisa's mental state. I didn't need to prove myself. I only needed someone else to become the new target. Lisa, with red, frenzied eyes, stormed up to me and raised her hand to hit me. I stood up and caught her wrist midair, flinging her aside with full force. I grew up in the mud. I'm no pampered little princess. And I'm not weak. With that one throw, Lisa flew straight into the desk across from us. By coincidence, the man sitting there was texting his group chat of buddies. The chat window displayed Lisa's indecent photos. The chat was full of lewd comments about her body. Lisa snapped. She grabbed the guy's phone and smashed it to the ground, then slapped him hard across the face. She even went for his eyes. "You wanna look? You wanna fucking look? A fat pig like you dares to look at me?" But that man wasn't someone to be messed with either. He stood up, picked up a chair, and swung it at Lisa. "You bitch. You think you're someone now? Wasn't it your family who begged my dad to get you this job? With your trash college degree, you think you'd make it into our company? You got complimented once and thought you were a queen? You think you're more respectable than Selena? In our circle, your status isn't even worth mentioning. You're more of a joke than Selena." At least she kept her head down. "You got used up and still tried to drag others down with you? I'm not worthy to see your pictures? Then I'll look all I want." The man lunged at Lisa, trying to tear her clothes off. Many people watched. None stepped in. Lisa, once the noble princess, now lay in the dirt, humiliated beyond measure. I walked away, cold and numb. This dog-eat-dog drama was pathetic and boring. I'll need to find a new job again. Annoying. But no matter how annoying, it could never be worse than this place. Chapter 12. When I started driving away, the morning rush hour had already passed. I didn't rush home. Instead, I just drove aimlessly, wandering through the empty city streets. Since I started working, I had barely taken a break. But today, I finally felt truly free and relaxed. Unconsciously, I drove into another city. It was a place full of memories I despised, a place I had desperately tried to escape. To others, it was a hometown. To me, it was hell. Before I realized it, I was parked in front of my old high school. That towering plane tree was still there, lush as ever. Its leaves rustled in the summer wind. The little stationery and snack shops on both sides of the street were still open. Students in uniforms walked in groups through the school gates. Another graduation season had arrived. Whose youth was without regret? And whose youth was filled with it? In the distance, faint music floated to my ears. Please allow me to settle down in dust, burying the past in silence. Through storms, I come from the sea, now quietly dwelling in the desert. In that instant, it felt like some invisible force pulled me violently back into the past. And suddenly, everything about Ethan resurfaced again. My mind flooded with scenes of him. When I was in elementary school, my parents divorced. My grandparents hated me, but for the sake of appearances, they kept me around. Once in a while, Grandpa would show me some kindness, holding my hand and telling me to behave. At the time, I couldn't understand the filth behind his gaze. I only wanted to please him, hoping he'd eventually like me. But his touches became more inappropriate. He would grab my hand and rub it. I didn't like how it felt, and I started avoiding him instinctively. By high school, I didn't hesitate. I chose to live on campus. If I could avoid going home, I would. Back then, all I wanted was to grow up fast and escape that filth. I told myself, if I could survive these final 3 years, I'd have a brand new life. But those 3 years weren't easy. My grandfather still came to school occasionally to pick me up. People who liked to gossip started talking about my family. Rumors and whispers quickly spread throughout the school. Everyone knew my parents were divorced. Everyone said I was just a toy for my grandfather. Some even joked about how many abortions I'd had. Gradually, I became the person everyone thought they could bully. Whatever I wore, whatever I ate, even my hairstyle, everything became a joke to others. A school thug once asked me in front of the whole class how much I charged per night. Said he wanted to book me for a month. During seat arrangements, my desk mate would purposely switch places with the thug so he could sit next to me. The class monitor would assign cleaning duties and deliberately put me on the same team as the thug. Teachers turned a blind eye. No one cared enough to help me. That was the darkest time of my life. I even thought about dying. I tried to hold on, but every time I found the strength to get up, the filth of humanity would crush me all over again. And Ethan, he was the one who appeared just when I was teetering at the edge of death. Chapter 13. That day, my dad forced me to go home. He was my biological father. When he grabbed me and dragged me into the car, no one dared to help, only onlookers watched the show. My dad brought another woman home again. Just like always, he made me call her mom, but I refused. No matter what. Enraged, my dad grabbed a whip and tried to hit me. The woman he brought back shielded me in her arms. The whip landed on her instead. Her voice was gentle as she comforted me, told me not to be afraid. Then she snatched the whip from my dad's hand. She handed me something, and softly said, "Don't be afraid, Selena. Auntie won't let him hurt you." Inside the bag were a slice of cake and a cup of milk tea. At that time, I had never tasted cake, never even tried milk tea. The sweet scent hit my nose, and my tears started to fall. No one had ever spoken to me so kindly. If only I had a mother. I thought, how wonderful that would be. She wiped my tears and poked the straw into a cup of mango pomelo sago, then brought it to my lips. With a gentle look in her eyes, she said, "It's really good. Want to try it?" Her gaze was so kind, as if she genuinely loved me by extension. I finally gave in and took a sip of the milk tea. I thought, even if she was just a stepmother, As long as she could take me away from all this, it would be 1,000 times better than my current life. But that night, I began to feel weak all over. A nightmare startled me awake. Thunder roared outside. Lightning lit up the room. In those flickering lights, my grandfather's filthy, twisted face appeared more terrifying than ever. That's when I realized there was something wrong with that milk tea. My eyes started to burn. I must have gone insane to actually believe that woman could be kind to me. Anyone who has their eyes on my father could never be anything good. Thankfully, I only took one sip. The moment my grandfather lunged at me, I grabbed the pepper spray beside me and sprayed it straight into his eyes. As he screamed and clutched his face, I seized the kettle and poured the scalding water all over his lower body. His howl tore through the room like a pig being slaughtered. My grandmother rushed in upon hearing the commotion. I shoved her aside and bolted. My nerves were strung so tightly that my limbs began to tremble uncontrollably as I ran. I was terrified someone would suddenly grab me from behind, or that someone would block me from the front. I had no idea how long I ran. All I remember is collapsing at an intersection. My face slammed into the pavement. My mind buzzing in pain, I couldn't get up. Then a pair of shoes appeared in front of me, and my heart leapt to my throat. I tried to get up, but my body wouldn't cooperate. Ethan crouched in front of me, confused, looking at my disheveled appearance. "Are you okay?" Not my grandfather, not my father. At that moment, it was like someone drowning suddenly saw a life buoy. Every emotion inside me burst out at once. I couldn't speak. Tears just kept falling. Ethan helped me up, draped his coat around my shoulders, and took me to the hospital. He gently comforted me, pulling out his student ID and ID card to show me, telling me not to be scared, not to panic. Back then, to me, he was the warmth of the sun. Chapter 14. The noisy reality in my ears dragged my consciousness back. Memories faded rapidly from my mind. The car rolled to a smooth stop in the parking space. I slumped over the steering wheel, completely drained. Just then, my phone buzzed with a notification. It was a mention in the alumni group chat. A group that's usually dead silent had exploded with over 99 messages today. I tapped it open absent-mindedly. It was Ethan, sending red envelopes. Someone had tagged me. "Selena, are you and Ethan getting married? Congrats. Congrats. So happy to see true love finally win out. Wish you both happiness." Others were more teasing. Wow, I really didn't expect Ethan to be such a ride or die. Seriously, he totally has the look of a F*** boy. But turns out he's loyal. Ha 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 ha. "Selena, say something." "Ethan, she's mad at me. She won't talk to me. Says she wants to break up." "Then what are you doing here? Go make it right." "Ethan, tell me how." "I don't know how to make her forgive me." "Aren't you the king of simps? And you're asking us?" "Ethan at me, baby. Please don't be mad at me anymore, okay? Don't leave me." If only everything could go back to the way it was. If life gave us do-overs, how wonderful would that be? But sadly, by now, everything has long lost its original shape. There's no going back. Calm and distant, I typed one line: "Ethan and I have broken up." Then I left the alumni group, and while I was at it, I exited every related group chat as well. Almost the moment I left, Ethan's call came through. I hung up, then I blocked him on every platform. At last, the world was quiet again. I turned my head and looked out the window, numb and indifferent. Chapter 15. At the parking space in front of the school. I sat there the entire day. As the city lights began to twinkle, I found an old restaurant and ordered a bowl of rice noodles. The rising steam blurred my vision, making my eyes misty. After walking such a long and painful road, I still hadn't grown used to loneliness. "Is he that important to you?" As the soft male voice came, Joel sat across from me. The moment I looked up, a tear dropped into the bowl. I turned my face away in slight embarrassment. "What are you doing here?" Joel smiled. "Is Ethan really that important to you?" I hesitated. I nodded, then shook my head. How could he not be important? But no matter how important he was, I had to let go. "Did he treat you well?" he asked again. I thought for a moment. He was okay, at least from my perspective. He was the person who treated me the best. Joel said, "Do you know the fastest way to forget someone? I poked at the noodles in my bowl. What is it? Start a new relationship. I don't want to date anyone. I'm tired. Then get married. Who would marry me? I would. I was stunned and looked up at Joel. He was looking at me seriously. It took me a few seconds to register what he had just said. We barely know each other. Joel. Joel took a sip of water and smiled. You ate the cake I bought. Drank the milk tea I got. Used the email I sent you. And now you're saying we don't know each other? No wonder Ethan said you were cold-hearted. Only then did I remember the email about Lisa had been sent by Joel. I felt a little awkward. Thanks for helping me, Joel replied. No surprise there. A computer was like you would reverse engineer the email perfectly. Have you been watching Lisa for a while? She's been around Ethan for a long time. You just didn't notice. I nodded and began to eat my noodles. Even though I felt uneasy, I knew deep down that anything that could be taken away was never mine to begin with. If it wasn't Lisa, it would have been someone else. Sooner or later. As I ate, I casually asked, "Don't tell me you did all this for me." Joel didn't dodge the question. He looked straight into my eyes. What if I said I did? Would you believe me? I didn't blink. No, Joel chuckled, then pulled out a document and placed it in front of me. Are these terms good enough for you to marry me? Chapter 16. I didn't take the document. I rejected him outright. Marriage is not a mandatory path in my life, and I don't like you. Joel placed the file into my hand anyway. Marry me. If I ask for divorce, I'll walk away with nothing. If you ask for divorce, you get 50% of my personal assets. No one will ever dare to bully you again. You can use me, forever, as your shield. Marriage isn't your must-have? Fine, treat it as a choice. Let me be one of your options. Selena, you've got nothing to lose, only gain. I flipped through the prenuptial agreement in my hands. Unimpressed. Joel, do you take me for an idiot? Things that fall from the sky usually have strings attached. What you're offering makes you sound like a con artist. I closed the document and tossed it back to him. I'm not interested in marrying you. Then I pointed to the door. Please leave. Joel didn't move. You've ruined Lisa. She won't just let it go. And Ethan, he won't let you live in peace either. I frowned. It took everything I had to gain a foothold in Beijing. I'd only just bought my apartment, and I still had a mortgage. I couldn't afford to walk away on a whim like the rich do. Lisa's photos were already all over the internet. She wouldn't go after anyone else. She'd come for me, even if I reported her. Even if she got detained for a day, she wouldn't disappear forever. It'd be an endless cycle. And Ethan? He could toss me aside once he got bored, but I wasn't allowed to leave him. He'd use every twisted method to keep haunting me. As long as Ethan and Lisa are still breathing, I'll never have a moment of peace. Marrying Joel might actually be a smart move. But that kind of decision, it didn't feel right. Joel continued, even if you divorce me someday, I'll still make sure someone protects you for the rest of your life. He raised his hand and gently stroked my cheek. His thumb brushed across my lips. This is all written, signed, and sealed, legally binding. Even if it's a scam, the only thing I want to steal is your heart. I grabbed his hand. Don't do this. He gripped mine in return. Don't do what? Joel. I'm here. I don't have a heart anymore. Then what are you still afraid of? He's right. I have no heart left. So what am I afraid of? If the only other option is being tortured by those two, then maybe it's better to live in Joel's carefully crafted illusion of love. Even if it's fake, at least. For a while, I'd have peace. Chapter 17. When the marriage certificate landed in my hands, I felt a bit dazed. The midsummer breeze rustled through the sycamore leaves. Sunlight fell onto the red booklet, like a shackle forged by fate. I didn't know how things would turn out in the future. All I wanted was the calm of this moment. Joel held my hand as we slowly walked down the quiet afternoon street. Just like that day Ethan led me out of the hospital, walking me back to campus. Slow, surreal. My memories drifted back and forth, flickering in and out. A beam of light from some distant past pierced through and struck my heart. And then, the color in those memories faded to murky black and white. No one glowed in them anymore. My youth had no story left. Suddenly, a sting rose in my nose. I didn't even know what I was sad about. Just that, In this fleeting moment, I couldn't let go of everything I'd once been through. Right then, Joel's phone rang. It was a call from his company. He picked up, exchanged only a few words, and hung up. Something urgent came up at work. I need to head back. I nodded. Go ahead. I'll head out on my own. Joel stared at me for a long moment, then suddenly leaned in and kissed me hard. After a while, he let go, pressing his forehead to mine. You want me gone that badly? I lowered my eyes. Didn't you say it was urgent? Come with me. No. He chuckled low, his voice husky. Then wait for me at home, tonight. I'm showing up with a license. I dodged the heat of his breath. Flustered. Chapter 18. Ever since Selena announced their breakup in the alumni group and blocked Ethan on everything, Ethan had unilaterally launched into a cold war. He knew Selena. After 8 years together, he'd already become a part of her. There was no way she could really let him go. So this time, Ethan cut off all contact completely. He vanished, clean and silent. He thought, only when Selena truly feels she's lost him, will she finally realize how much he meant to her. But then a week passed, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months. Still, not a word from her. His frustration began to spiral. His temper got worse by the day. Ethan couldn't stop thinking about Selena. The more he tried not to, the more insane he felt. It had taken him 6 years to win her heart, to finally call her his girlfriend, when she didn't want him to touch her. He held back, for 2 years. There was one time, he tore off all her clothes, and almost had her. Almost. But then, she cried. In that moment, he could have ignored it all, forced his way through, and made her his completely. But seeing her tears, his heart cracked wide open. He hated himself for what he'd almost done. For the first time in his life, he turned down something already within reach. He helped her dress again, then held her all night while they watched My Fair Princess on loop like idiots. His friends mocked him about it for an entire year. Sure, he got mad at her all the time, but he loved her deeply. How could she hurt him like this? By the time his car stopped downstairs from Selena's building, dusk had just fallen over the city. Ethan suppressed his churning emotions and stepped out. Right then, all he wanted was to have her again. He'd even be willing to marry her. He rushed toward her door, steps unsteady with anticipation. Just as he raised his fist to knock, he froze. It felt like the early days, back when he was chasing her. So cautious, so lost. No matter how she treated him, he'd shamelessly wag his tail and beg for her love. Chapter 19. I didn't move into the so-called marital home Joel bought. Yet Joel insisted on following me home every single time. In these past 2 months, he woke up early every day to make me breakfast. If he wasn't working overtime, he'd pull me to the supermarket to shop for groceries, then come home to cook dinner. Sometimes when work was too busy, he'd bring it home and work from the living room, while I cooked in the kitchen. I only had to turn around to see his profile, focused and working hard. My once vague idea of home began to take shape during these 2 months. He respected me deeply, even though he often teased about being officially certified to do his duties as a husband. He hadn't truly touched me during this whole time. He even took me to the hospital, where I learned that my fear of intimacy had nothing to do with whether we were married. It was a psychological trauma from my younger years, something buried deep in my mind. He listened to the doctor even more carefully than I did. He was always patient and gentle, guiding me slowly even when he was clearly at his limit, nearly losing control. The moment I showed even the slightest sign of resistance, he would stop immediately. I often felt like he truly loved me, but I didn't know what exactly he loved about me. Every time he looked at me, it made my heart race. I couldn't meet his gaze. He looked at me like a starving beast, as if the moment he had a chance, he would devour me whole. And today was no exception. In the elevator, he couldn't wait any longer and began kissing me passionately. He had grocery bags in one hand and the back of my head in the other, kissing me wild and rough. The elevator dinged open. He kept kissing me as we stepped out, the plastic bags crashing to the ground with a loud rustle. Our uneven breaths, hurried footsteps, all blending into a scene too intense to look at directly. I didn't even realize Ethan was approaching, until the sharp smell of cigarettes reached my nose. Right as his voice cut in, Selena, I froze. Instantly jolted. I tried to push Joel away, but Joel simply pulled my head against his chest. His eyes still clouded with desire. Gazing lazily, almost arrogantly, at Ethan. Ethan's fury exploded. Maybe it hit too deep. His voice cracked with a mix of rage, hurt, and bitter disbelief. Selena, when we were together, every time I kissed you, you always pulled away. And now here you are. Couldn't even wait until getting home? 8 years, this wasn't some 8-day fling. What the hell did I mean to you? Is your heart made of stone? Do you really think I wouldn't feel anything? That I don't hurt, Selena? Even now, he still didn't think he did anything wrong. Maybe to him, I was never good enough, never worthy of being shown to the world. So I'm supposed to be grateful for everything he's done, even the pain he's caused me, because someone like me should feel lucky just to receive his attention. My head stayed buried in Joel's chest, unmoving. I simply spoke in a calm voice. Ethan, there's no point in saying more. Let's end this here. Ethan finally lost control. He tried to pull me away, but Joel shoved him off with one strong motion. Only then did Ethan get a good look at Joel's face. His hand trembled as he pointed at him. It's you? Ethan stood up and swung his fist at Joel. I treated you like a brother, and you slept with my woman? Joel caught Ethan's punch and flung him aside. He said, coldly and calmly, she's easily frightened. Don't scare her. Let's go somewhere else. I'll fight you. Ethan's jaw clenched so tightly he nearly ground his molars to dust. Fine, you've got guts. Joel pulled me out of his embrace, bent down, and picked up the grocery bag from the floor. Then he opened the door and kissed me on the forehead. Wait for me at home. He gently pushed me inside and shut the door. And in that instant, before the door closed, I saw Ethan's bloodshot eyes. As if he loved me deeply. Maybe he really did. After all, no one would stick around for 8 years without some feelings. But now? How much of that love still remained? At this point, I was just a prized possession he couldn't bear to lose. Someone else took his toy, and he couldn't accept it. Chapter 20. Outskirts. Open fields. The moment they stepped out of the car, Ethan swung a punch straight at Joel. Are you even human? You slept with your own brother's woman? Ethan had completely lost it. His fists came fast and furious. Like a man possessed, Joel couldn't dodge in time and took several heavy hits. But once Ethan began to tire, Joel launched a brutal counterattack. Your brother? Who the hell are you calling your brother? That homewrecker of a mother of yours isn't even worthy of being compared to mine. And by the way, was she ever your woman? Huh? No wonder your mom liked stealing someone else's man. Guess the thrill of snatching something that's not yours really runs in the family. 8 years of your so-called devotion couldn't compete with a single piece of candy I gave her when she was at her lowest. The woman you couldn't have in 8 years, I had her in 2 months. And you? She's already pushed you so far out of her mind. It's like you never existed. She even said your 8 years meant nothing, that there wasn't a shred of sincerity in your so-called love. Ethan was shaking with rage. Veins bulging. Shut the hell up. They were evenly matched in size and strength, neither had the upper hand for long. Soon, both of them were bruised and bloodied. But Joel was still smirking, cocky as ever. Only his eyes showed a killing coldness. Ethan, you really inherited your mom's trashy energy down to the last percent. The moment I found out you spent 8 years and still didn't sleep with Selena, I knew you were serious. But the joke is, you didn't even know how serious you were. And that's why. You'll always be the punchline. Just like your mom turned my mom into a joke back then. Ethan's face went deathly pale. He couldn't speak. His body trembled with rage. He looked like he wanted to rip Joel into pieces. He clenched his teeth. Throwing punches meant to kill. I treated you well, Joel. I really did. But I never imagined you'd be such a despicable bastard. What did Selena ever do to deserve this? Why would you use her like that? Do you even realize you could destroy her? Joel burst out laughing as he countered. When you hurt her, did you think about destroying her then? The betrayal you feel now, it's the same as what she felt when you and Lisa stabbed her in the back. Do you really think she'll ever forgive you? She doesn't want you anymore. Ethan let out a guttural roar and slammed a punch into Joel's face. He put all his strength into that one hit. And once it landed, he stumbled, collapsing to his knees in utter despair, his face twisted, unrecognizable. You're a fucking animal, Joel. Joel wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and sneered. Compared to your mom? I'm still too classy to be in the same league. Then he turned and walked away. But just as he reached the car, he stopped again, without looking back. He said, Selena chose to be with you because she thought you genuinely loved her, not because she loved you. So, whoever loves her, that's who she'll go with. You were never that important to her. Ethan. Chapter 21. Joel told me to wait for him. I didn't wait on purpose, I just went to bed early. But somehow, I kept waking up throughout the night. The next time I woke up, it was to the sound of my phone ringing, an unfamiliar number. I hesitated for a few seconds, and picked up. As soon as the call connected, I heard Ethan's manic laughter. You don't need to wait for Joel anymore. I beat him to death. I frowned. Saying nothing, Ethan went on. Do you even know who Joel is? He's my half-brother. Same father, different mother. He burst out laughing again. Manic and cruel. You really thought he was with you because he loved you? He did it to get back at my mom, to get back at me. He never loved you. Selena. Who else would love you besides me? Come back to me. I'm the only one who truly loves you. There was so much information, my brain couldn't keep up. Joel was Ethan's half-brother? So that's what it was. My heart gave a sudden, dull throb. It didn't hurt much, just a faint ache circling through my nerves. And then, everything made sense. The pieces aligned. I felt oddly relieved. Now this felt more like the life I was used to. Why would anyone love me for no reason? I guess, deep down, I never truly believed it. So at this moment, I didn't feel sad. Just responded to Ethan, calm and slightly mocking. And then what? You plan to marry me? Ethan, Joel's not gonna marry you either. He just wants to take everything I like, until we both go down in flames. That one word revealed it all. In the chaos of losing control, he finally said the truth. He was never going to marry me. He never even thought about marrying me. I let out a soft laugh. Too bad. Joel already married me. Silence on the other end. For a long time. Then, his voice. Hollow. Selena, do you even have a heart? I answered quietly. No, I don't. Then I hung up. Right after I ended the call, an email popped in. From Ethan. An audio file. I tapped it open. It was a recording from the fight between Joel and Ethan. Chapter 22. In the stillness of the room, Joel's voice rang out crystal clear. Every word echoed in my ears, growing louder and louder, deafening. So much so, I didn't even notice when Joel arrived. It wasn't until he sat down in front of me and gently wiped away the tears on my face, tears I hadn't even realized had fallen, that I finally became aware of him. I turned my head away, avoiding his touch. Joel, before I could finish, he cupped my face and kissed me deeply. His face was bruised, blotched with shades of blue and purple. It wasn't pretty, but somehow, it added a raw intensity to him. His kiss was fierce, desperate. It lasted a long time, only when he pulled back and pressed his forehead to mine, locking eyes with me. Did he finally speak? Ethan's mother was one of my mother's patients. Her condition was serious, and her family couldn't afford treatment. My mother looked after her extensively. To support my mom, my father set up a charity fund at the hospital to cover that woman's medical bills. But that woman used her gratitude as an excuse to seduce my father. In the end, she destroyed my parents' marriage. Kindness repaid with betrayal. The man she loved turned on her, and my mother spiraled into depression. And even after all that woman still came around to mock her. My mom died miserable and disturbed, never finding peace. Joel's eyes were rimmed with red. Tears shimmered at the edge. Selena. I admit, being with you started out as part of my revenge on Ethan. My feelings for you, they weren't entirely pure or sincere at the beginning, but I truly want a life with you now. Ethan's not right for you. If you choose to divorce me, I'll respect your decision. I looked at the man in front of me, so broken, so full of sorrow, like he might shatter at any second. He felt like another version of me. Two people, constantly healing ourselves within the wreckage of life. I raised my hand and gently wiped the tear from the corner of his eye. Joel, have you ever loved someone you couldn't have? He took my hand, brought it to his lips, and kissed it softly. No, I lowered my eyes, not exactly happy, but not quite sad either. After a while, I gently took his hand. Joel, let's stick together. Just you and me. In that moment, it felt like my heart had finally returned to the warmth of the world. His flaws, his lack of purity, made everything feel real. Joel tilted my chin up. Selena, once you say that, there's no taking it back. I smiled. Not backing out now doesn't mean I won't in the future. But before I could finish, he kissed me again. This time, he didn't hold back. He didn't stop. His voice came low and rough by my ear. Tonight, no matter how much you cry, I'm claiming my legal rights. You're hurt. A little pain just adds to the thrill. Joel, call me husband. The early autumn breeze drifted through the window, stirring the moonlight that spilled across the floor. In my life now, there was someone to walk beside. I didn't know how far this road with him would go, but I wanted to walk it, through the dust and noise of this world, side by side with him. Dreams may be full of flowers, reality may be broken glass, but he is truly here, right next to me. So let's just keep walking, until the past is too far behind to ever look back, until the soul no longer knows how to heal. Extra Scene 1. At first, Ethan didn't believe that Selena and Joel had actually gotten married, until she shoved the marriage certificate right in his face. He stared at the red booklet in her hand, motionless. His mind went completely blank. He never thought Joel would really marry Selena. Joel had always had such ambition. He didn't just want to crush Ethan, he wanted to destroy the entire family. How could someone like that choose to marry Selena? And Selena, so calm, so at ease by Joel's side, as if the 8 years she spent with Ethan had left not a single trace in her heart. The way she looked at him, cold, indifferent, merciless. And yet, he still couldn't help but ask her. Like a pathetic fool, Joel said, "You never loved me. Is that true?" Selena looked at him the way one looks at a glass of plain water, tasteless, indifferent. She calmly asked in return, "Ethan, couldn't you feel it? Couldn't you tell whether I loved you or not? So why ask now?" At that moment, he stared at the small hair tie on his wrist, his eyes suddenly burned. And then, he laughed, quietly, bitterly. Selena knew all his passwords, WeChat, Alipay, his bank accounts. She used to check them from time to time, to see if he'd been talking to any other women. Whenever she had a moment, she'd cook for him and bring meals to his office. When she saw him near another woman, she'd tear up in frustration. How could someone like that not have loved him? He was the one who destroyed that love, little by little. He was the one who turned the light in her eyes into ashes. That realization broke Ethan's heart in ways he couldn't put into words. He had always thought of himself as untouchable, a man who could flirt and drift without ever getting caught in the thorns of emotion. That love would never truly wound him. But now, this pain, like his heart was being torn apart, was enough to steal the breath from his lungs. He wandered aimlessly down an empty street. It was deep autumn again. A chill wind blew, and the ground was covered in fallen leaves. A distant speaker played music that echoed through the alleyways. The wish to grow old with you is now worthless. You said don't blame yourself for the hurt you made. Everyone can forget everyone. Completely. You only know how heavy love is once you've truly loved. Only understand how strong the wine is once you're drunk. Only when the fate had ended, did he finally understand what he had lost. In a lifetime, you only get to love someone truly and purely once. Ethan gave that love to Selena, and Selena had given hers to him. But in the end, they didn't make it. And now, whenever the nights grew quiet and still, he would fall into that pit of regret. If only he had married her earlier. If only he hadn't done all those stupid things. If only he had realized his feelings earlier. Would Joel have ever had the chance to slip in and take his place? But there are no ifs in this world. He could only keep spinning in that endless cycle of resignation and regret. In this vast, chaotic world, drifting with the current, that would be his entire life. Extra Scene 2. In the days that followed, just as Joel had said, no one came to bother me anymore. I rarely saw Ethan again. Word was, he and Joel were tearing each other apart in the business world. In the end, Ethan's company was on the brink of collapse. Lisa and her latest man, another piece of work, turned on each other. That man targeted Lisa relentlessly, making her life miserable in every way. She no longer had the time or energy to mess with me, and with that, my life finally settled down. Each morning when I wake, with the sun peeking through the curtains, the crisp chirping of birds, and the murmurs of a bustling world just outside my window, I find myself thinking, maybe the world isn't so bad after all. As for Joel, he still takes my hand and drags me to the supermarket. And we cook dinner together when we return, no matter how late it gets. As long as he isn't away for work, he always comes home. There are no other women around him. He despises cheating more than anything. Whether his love is pure, whether his heart is flawless, it doesn't matter so much anymore. To be able to live the rest of my life peacefully, that, to me, is the best kind of life.